Whenever we hear or read about other people, our empathy takes over. Us humans have the everlasting desire to think or even feel for others.
So, whenever we see, hear, or read about someone, our thoughts and feelings travel to a world of imagination.
And we do it all the time, when imagining to be a superhero, a construction worker, or even a guy on the street. But what if a person is somewhat out of the ordinary?
Have you ever wondered what it would be like to be them? Well, we certainly have.
With this podcast series, we unravel stories of the sometimes fascinating, obsessed, inspiring, or outright strange folks that have wandered the edges of this earth. So, who this? Welcome to our podcast.
Hey Dane, tell me this. Would you like your mayor to be a really good boy?
Yes.
Right? A lot of people did. So they elected dogs.
No.
Okay, so today we're going to have like a little fun side episode about the phenomenon of people just around the world just voting animals into political positions. Why? Because we think it's fun. And I think it says a little bit of something.
I mean, that's really decentering history.
Yes, exactly. Away from humans. We think that, you know, we run this world. I mean, we do. But there's animals too. I don't know where I'm going with.
Animals came before us. Let's remember that.
That's true. And we are animals.
Well, that too, yeah.
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 We're both correct.
That's a little nugget. A little point in history.
Way to make me look stupid, Joe.
Biology and shit.
So essentially, yeah. So there's not one story of this happening. We also don't really have a story format for these because they're animals, so they can't really talk or had a lot of agency in the situation. But they were elected into political positions. So, for example, we have Stubbs the cat, who recently died at the ripe old age of 20 as mayor of a small town in Alaska.
Hold up, is this true?
Yes.
Yes.
What?
In Alaska.
What?
Right. And just one thing is that he was elected after a write-in campaign by voters who opposed the human candidate. And he won by a healthy margin.
Wow.
And they loved him. He was the mayor of Talkeetna. And when he died, they had a full-on procession. Mm-hmm. They had a full-on procession for little Stubbs the cat. There's also Cacareco, who is a rhino who ran for city council of Sao Paulo, Brazil. And this was in 1958. And he became a member of the city council. And I mean, this was also a protest vote. Voters were protesting, you know, perceived corruption in the government at the time. And someone at one point made the joke that a rhino could do a better job.
Is it because he ran faster?
Maybe. Probably. He's a hard-hitting candidate. He ran harder, faster, and he had a horn. It's how it happened. There's one in Kentucky. This is Lucy Liu. This is the last of my random examples before we get really into it. She's a very nice dog. Her name's Lucy Liu. And
Lucy Liu?
Yes.
Like the actress Lucy Liu?
Yes.
Like the Asian actress Charlie's Angel Lucy Liu?
But spelled slightly differently, yes.
Why though?
Because, well, here's a picture of her, actually. Here's Lucy Liu.
Doesn't look anything like her.
No resemblance.
No.
So there's a town called Rabbit Hash, Kentucky.
Of course.
And they,
I mean, you must care so little about politics that you're just gonna elect some animals.
Exactly. And get this, right? Get this. This is what I wanted to find. Is that Lucy Liu the dog won against several other dogs,
Oh, jeez.
a cat, a possum, and one human candidate in 2008.
I guess I would
Jeez.
vote it for the possum, but
Yeah, I would have voted for the possum too.
Well, this, okay, so now I get why Trump was voted, right?
Yes.
Like, he was a protest vote, right? And they said, okay, an orangutan could, like, run.
Yeah, and
Or a
someone made it
Cheeto.
happen.
Anything could happen in politics.
Yeah,
I mean, there is a story actually that I do know from history, which is the horse Incitatus, who was the horse of the Roman Emperor Caligula, and he actually wanted to get his horse as a consul in the Senate. Like, he wanted to vote him into the Senate. And there's a lot of debate around the fact that was this the moment that Caligula was going insane?
probably.
But a lot of historians actually say that this was also a way to ridicule the Senate and say, like,
A horse could do it.
yeah, I mean, Caligula was trying to aim his underlings that their work was so meaningless that an animal could even do it.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
a
a way,
diss.
but it could also be that he was very sincere about it. He loved his horse. It was like, yeah,
So for everybody who doesn't know, this was one of the Roman emperors who went buck wild.
Yes.
And so it's 50-50. Either a potent political statement or he was just insane criminally.
I mean, I like the idea of the satire as well. Where it's
Yeah,
like,
me too.
yeah,
Or
you
both.
guys really suck. Here's my horse. He can do
Yeah.
your job.
Okay, so we understand that it's a campaign tactic, it's
Yes.
a ridicule of existing political structures. What actually happens when these animals get elected? Is there a human behind the animal? Because then it's the same shit, right?
I'm not entirely sure. So for a lot of these, besides the city council one in Brazil, where they, I think they just ignored the rhino, the other council members.
When he showed up, they're like,
yeah.
we're not going to pretend
Wait,
there's
the
an
rhino
elephant.
actually showed up
There's
to
an
the
actual rhino in the room.
There's a
I don't know
rhino-shaped
if there's an
hole in the
actual-
wall.
Oh my god. For a lot of these,
What if
therefore-
you're new to it and you arrive in this room and there's
And you
just
see a
a
bunch of
rhino
people-
sitting?
Oh, sorry,
at a
I was thinking
table.
as the rhino. Yeah.
Also, guys, the rhino is not like civilized to politics. Like, it's not just sitting there with a little tie on.
Yeah.
The rhino's not there, right?
I don't know if the rhino. I
Joe,
think
you don't have any answers.
I mean, I want the rhino to be there. What I imagine with an animal being elected, like, what if you just have like a guinea pig race and you have all these guinea pigs, and then you're like, well, we're going to have this dog, for instance, pick one of the A to D policies. We're gonna just
Open
let
the
him
gate.
go. Let him go to one of the gates. The one he goes through, that's the thing they were deciding on.
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, if you don't care about outcomes, this is the perfect way to do
I think
stuff.
a lot of people don't care about outcomes.
But that's the thing, right? These are all like in. Okay, so first of all, so there's this Rhino City Council guy. That's different because I think he was just ignored, or they at one point the other council members were like, "Okay, this is void. Stop being ridiculous, please." But for a lot of the other ones, like the role of mayor in a lot of towns, especially if they're smaller, is more honorary, or it's more of a title than you have like policy affecting responsibility. So for a lot of these, they can just vote an animal in. But there's many more where it is just a protest vote. With the mayor ones, I think it could be a protest vote, but also people are just like, yeah, I kind of want to have a dog as a mascot. Why not?
Yeah.
I would do that personally. But I also see like in many political systems, and this is a lot of like different state systems in the US as well, where they don't have the option for protest votes. So they just write in animals and yeah, they make it far.
I mean, let's from the perspective of decentering history, let's give these animals some props for getting elected.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, Lucy Liu, man.
Lucy Liu
Lucy Liu.
went far.
Yeah, she made it big time.
That's all I have.
Yeah. And what's the name of the cat?
Oh, The cat was Stubbs. Stubbs the cat.
Oh my! And Stubbs died at age 20.
Yep.
Oh, poor Stubbs.
There's this one I find particularly funny. It's Tio the chimpanzee, who ran for mayor of Rio as well.
Seems to be a theme
and
there.
then Tio ran against 11 other candidates with the slogan, "Vote monkey, get monkey." And he ultimately received 400,000 votes, putting him in third place.
Jeez.
And he's recognized by the Guinness Book of World Records as being the chimpanzee to receive the most votes in a political campaign. And yeah, he passed away in 1996 at 33. This election, by the way, was in the 80s. And yeah, he was a member of the Brazilian Banana Party. Yes.
If we get real for a second, how does this make you feel? Because I feel deep despair.
Wow.
400,000 votes for a chimpanzee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that's
They
how
were unhappy.
terrible
I feel, yeah.
political systems have become. Maybe always were. I don't know.
Yeah, I just feel like I don't feel any way about it. I feel not anyway. It's like not that I'm numb to it, but I just know from I've grown up in situations where people think it's between two evils, and so they decide I'm not even going to vote at all. I grew up with a lot of friends who'd never seen a ballot and would never touch a ballot because they will never touch. They think they're co-signing any evil that any side decides to do. And you know, you're like, well, you want to put your voice, but they don't want to put their voice to any of it, right? And to think that there's a less violent option in voting a monkey or voting a dog and not causing that kind of like putting your voice on somebody who might then commit genocide of a neighborhood or so on. I'm like, I get it. I get it. And I feel like a lot of the politics that we do in certain spaces are a joke. And it's just politicking and not true politics, where it's the negotiation of interest between the people and the people in power. And it's really just politicking about who can get power and do whatever the fuck they want.
Oh my days, I get it completely. That's why I despair, because I think it just shows I would vote for an animal over a human any day, you know? But ultimately, voting for that animal isn't really going to change anything, sadly. I think it's a strong statement, and maybe it makes the voters feel like more at peace with, you know, their action, or I don't know, gives them some kind of, you know, comfort. But yeah, I guess I despair because I don't really see what good or change it's gonna do.
Well, hopefully in certain spaces, it's a wake-up call.
Yeah.
That if you're a politician and you've been making promises and not keeping them, and people are like, okay, then fuck you. Since you're not going to keep, we vote for a monkey, we get a monkey. Since we voted for a person and still got a monkey, we'll vote for a monkey, right? And then all of a sudden you're like, okay, no, we need to win these people back, because no, they become a swing vote. They become the difference between me winning and not. And so I have to keep my promises, hopefully.
That's very true. There's a lot of, I think in Holland, you have blank votes that you can cast as protest votes.
Yeah.
And these also serve, they serve as votes of confidence of none of these candidates are good. I'd rather have a different set of candidates, but unfortunately, they're also not really activated upon. I mean, if people vote blank votes, then, it just doesn't count. And
you also have people that just vote on politicians that have funny names. So
yeah, that's true.
What's the difference you're making there? But I think it's the ultimate legacy of Caligula. If you
yeah,
because it's like for people, I guess it's so meaningless in their eyes what the politicians do that they would rather vote for an animal than vote on any politician at all.
Yeah, I think it's a long history of powerlessness, I think, for
Yes,
people. If this
that's
goes
the way.
back all the way to Caligula, and if we kind of give him the benefit of the doubt and say that it was satire and not just going bonkers, then it's a very powerful statement for us today, because it means that we've had this issue of powerlessness for literally thousands of years at this point. We have so many disenfranchised people in society, and as good as we want to try, we're still getting there, and there's still a long ways to go if we're still in 2018 voting for doggies and monkeys. That's I don't know, I guess it's food for thought. It's a bit of a slightly silly existentialism that we have today.
Yeah, so it's dog food for thought.
Dog food for dog. It's a dog eat dog world out here in politics.
Okay, that was your takeaway.
What's my takeaway? Vote for someone you like, I guess.
Me? Yes. We should always do our homework when we're doing our vote. Our votes shouldn't be because of funny names or because we like the cutesy Betsy animal or whatever. But when all else fails and you've done your homework, and even when you've done your homework and you see that hasn't done anything, you can walk away, or you can try to make a statement. And I think using your vote to make a statement somehow, even if you feel like it's a ridiculous statement, use your power as best that you can for yourself and for the people around you.
My takeaway is that I'm pretty cynical, and it's important to surround yourself with people who think about things differently, because I think my main takeaway is despair and reinforcing my feelings about political systems. But being at this table with guys that have a more optimistic takeaway, no, it's true. Like, it's the interpersonal things that can keep you open to, other perspectives.
I think it's bad on the politicians' part. It's funny because it's animals being elected. It's the ultimate satire in my eyes, as Caligula potentially intended. But I think it's just bad that we come so far from a political point of view. It's that people don't feel comfortable with any politician, that they have to vote for any animal. Still funny.
Takeaway, it's still funny though.
The ultimate takeaway.
Yeah, I think honestly I have a fairly similar takeaway for reals, in that I think it's good to have satire in politics. It's a way for people to engage in politics where they otherwise feel disenfranchised. And I mean, you could say that they're wasting their vote. I also feel that way, because you could equally do your homework and vote for the best person instead of being so easily defeatist, maybe. But when you don't have those means to do your homework, or you don't know where to start, and you just feel angry and powerless, then make a joke, gets people attention, and express yourself. And if it takes voting monkey, then vote monkey.
And you get monkey.
You get monkey.
Who let the dogs run?
For political office.
Who?
So catch us wherever you catch your podcasts next week.
Yeah.